So, Caitlin Clark is playing tonight against the Dallas Wings. And obviously, there's a good chance that by the time you watch this, we could have already started this game. You could be already watching this game, or we could be live right now watching the game on this channel. But I will say, Caitlin Clark can end the Rookie of the Year talk tonight. She has that ability to end the Rookie of the Year talk tonight, and I'm going to talk about why in this video. Before we get on, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 23k by the end of the day. Right now, we are 150 or so off. But if you don't know what has happened, the Chicago Sky have traded Marina Mabrey. They are in full tank mode. I don't know why. They are in full tank mode. This is not they will not, unless there's some 1000 IQ move and they think Rachel Banham, and if Rachel Banham ends up doing every night what she did a few days ago. Because again, look, Marina Mabrey is shooting 38% from 3, and so is Rachel Banham this season. And that is with one game completely skewed in the favor of Banham, her 8 of 11 from 3 game. They traded Marina Mabrey, a almost star, as in borderline all-star player. They traded a borderline all-star who's 3 years younger than Rachel Banham, a bench player who is 31. They traded Mabrey, who is my age, 27, for Rachel Banham, 31-year-old, who comes off the bench for the Sun, and some games may not even get off the bench. And again, the contract is a bit of a difference. And the difference is that there is a 100k difference in their contract. I will say that. But at the end of the day, I gotta say, this is where Caitlin Clark can completely take over in the Rookie of the Year race. You see, her team's not tanking. They're not trying to lose games. I don't know why the Sky are trying to lose games, but they're not trying to lose games. And again, we're going to see more and more. I think that maybe this is for the development of Angel Reese. Maybe this is a long-term development thing, being okay, Mabrey's taking a lot of shots. Kennedy Carter is obviously our best player, but we're going to go to Angel. We're going to go to Cardoso, and we're going to trust them. We might lose some games this year, but we got to just see what they can do. We got to give them the ball. And the one thing I will say is that, I think it's going to lead to a lot more collapsing in the paint, because as good of a shooter as Banham is, you can't leave her out on the floor for too long. She's just not that good a player. So she's going to make the team worse, despite the fact she's shooting equally the same as Mabrey, but she doesn't bring the passing of Mabrey. She doesn't do any of that. So now you're looking at Caitlin Clark, who last night, again, plus minus matters to an extent. It doesn't matter in isolation, because Kelsey Plum had the best plus minus for the Aces, and she was the worst player on the court yesterday. But Angel Reese did all the little things, so I did think she played well. When it comes to Caitlin Clark today, this is her opportunity. The Dallas Wings don't have an answer for Caitlin Clark today. They shouldn't have an answer. If the Indiana Fever walk the ball up the floor and play a slow down pace and allow McCowan's size to affect them, then yeah, maybe this could be a game. But Dallas, unless Arike goes full on, she goes crazy. Unless Arike goes crazy, this game is shouldn't be close. Dallas aren't even having close games. They're getting destroyed. Their two of their three best players in Segrist and Satu haven't been playing. Getting Natasha Howard in has not made this team any better. As good as she's been, it's not made the team much better. The only thing is that McCowan is huge. McCowan is huge. Ironically, drafted by the Fever. Of course she was drafted by the Fever, but she's huge. Other than that, I don't really rate Billings. Arike's percentages have been horrendous. And I want to see what Arike's last 5 games have been. Her last 5 games have been, she's had one game. Her last 4 games, she hasn't even dropped 20. She's shooting 16 shots a game. She's shooting less and she's playing badly. And Caitlin Clark is she's on all systems go. So this is a very, very beatable team in Dallas Wings. And this is a very comfortable beatable team. This is not like the Mystics. I thought the Mystics are good despite the record. But the Wings aren't. So this is where Caitlin can go. Go and set the assist record today. Go and get your 13 assists, hopefully. Go set that assist record. If your shot's fallen, the shot's fallen. If not, go get the assist record and go win this game. Because if they, again, go in 12-14 with the easiest schedule in the WNBA after the All-Star break, after the Olympic break, it becomes really hard to see how she doesn't win. Especially when her opponent's team are in tank mode. So even if the Angel Reese's numbers pick up a little bit, there's going to be a huge discrepancy in team wins. And I know you might be able to say, oh, but like the team wins shouldn't ever be taken into account. But it should be when statistically Caitlin Clark is just clearly better. Like, that was the reason why it was so close to the start of the year, was the Sky were actually winning games. Like, the Sky were 3-2 when the Fever were 1-8. Like, that's the craziest part. When the Fever were 1-8, the Sky were 3-2. So there was that huge discrepancy, which is what kept Angel Reese in it early. And then the streak, but the Sky had been losing games. The Fever have been consistently winning. And if the Fever can go 11-6 through 17 games, and like even though the Sky had their big win yesterday, the Sky, I think, through 17 are 6-11. So there is that flip. So I think if they win this game, and Caitlin has a huge game, especially because there's now a month. There's now going to be a month break. And just like people were talking, I remember about, what was it? The, not the bubble year. They stopped the MVP before that. In like the Premier League. What happened before the World Cup break was taken into account more than after? Or was it what happened after? One or the other. When a season split up into two, most people put most of the preference in one part of the season. And I think the post-Olympic break, you're going to be seeing a lot of these top teams maybe drop a little bit because they've got too many Olympians. And I think some of these bottom teams are going to start to win games because their players are rested. It's going to be it's going to be really weird to see. But what I don't see is Angel Reese putting up numbers on a bad team is getting her back into it. I think she's going to. And again, who's going to be the better player out of these two? If you had told me to put my mortgage on it, it would be Caitlin Clark. But if you told me if I was frozen for 5 years and in 5 years I woke up and heard Angel Reese is a better player, it wouldn't surprise me. But it wouldn't surprise me that much. Either way, though, I think coming in, like Angel Reese had a fine game yesterday. Like a completely fine game. And that is the only way to describe how she played. She was fine. She was a net positive to her team, obviously. And she came up clutch with a basket down the stretch, but she was fine. Completely fine. Caitlin Clark was completely fine against Minnesota. And that was her worst game in best 7. If Caitlin Clark goes and has a Caitlin Clark type game today, I think it's over. I think it's going to be over. I genuinely do. And I said it yesterday where it was like, if Angel Reese had an absolutely unbelievable game, the talk could be still on. And the fact is that I've said it and I was like, the only reason that there's still going to be talk about the race right now if Caitlin Clark plays well in this game is for the media. Unless Caitlin Clark has an absolute stinker. If she is an absolute stinker, she's still ahead. But we can still have a conversation. But if Caitlin Clark plays like she did against the Mystics and they win, it's over. If she plays like she did in the fourth quarter against the Lynx through even 3 quarters of this game, it's over. If she goes and sets the assist record today, it's over. So, heck, if they win and she's the best player on the floor, it's over. I think there's a very good chance that this race could end tonight. And it's all about whether or not Caitlin Clark can step up and do it.